He is physically disabled, a cripple, ridiculed by everyone around him. Yet, he actually manages to use a mere tree branch as a bat and a stone as a ball to unleash an incredible strike at 90 miles per hour. A girl passing by thinks he is cheating and boldly claims she will be his girlfriend if he can pull it off consistently. The boy doesn't rush to defend himself, but instead swings the wooden stick immediately, once, twice, 3 times, delivering perfect home runs every single time.
Still think I'm cheating?
I think you're crazy, but you are my boyfriend.
Just like that, Ricky ends up with a girlfriend in the most bewildering way. His brother Robert is incredulous when he hears about it and demands that Ricky demonstrate it one more time. So Ricky picks up a random wooden stick and hands a stone from the ground to his brother, telling him to stand back and throw it hard. Robert gives a contemptuous smile, preparing to see his little brother make a fool of himself. He walks into the distance and winds up his arm to warm up, a posture that clearly signals he won't be showing any mercy. Ricky closes his eyes and adjusts his breathing, and for a fleeting moment, he seems to see a towering figure that represents the ideal baseball player in his heart. Robert finishes his windup and hurls the stone with all his might. In the blink of an eye, the crisp crack of the wooden stick echoes as the stone carves a beautiful arc through the air, flying into the distance. However, in the next second, the sound of shattering glass comes from afar. Robert instinctively wants to grab his brother and run, but Ricky doesn't move an inch, remembering the words his father once said.
Get out of here! What are you doing? What Daddy taught. Whatever you done, take responsibility for it.
The car owner rushes to the scene upon hearing the noise, only to find his car window smashed to bits. He should have been livid, but when his gaze falls on Ricky and he notes where the boy is standing, he estimates the distance to the car is a full 80 meters. The car owner decides not to pursue the matter of the broken window. His eyes fall on that cold leg brace, a metal frame extending from Ricky's ankle to his knee, binding legs that were meant to run free. He hands the stone back to Ricky, wanting to see with his own eyes how a kid with iron braces could actually hit a ball like that. Ricky doesn't hesitate. He returns to his spot, raises his stick, and steadies his breath. The moment the stone flies in, the wooden stick slices through the air again for another beautiful swing, sending the stone flying far away. That makes 2 consecutive perfect home runs. The car owner is convinced that this boy is a natural-born baseball player and makes a promise right then and there.
When you get them legs healed up, I'm gonna be the first guy at the gate to buy a ticket.
It is this very sentence that plants a seed deep in Ricky's heart. In the eyes of others, he has always been that crippled freak. Born with a spinal disease, he has had to rely on leg braces just to manage a walk since he was a child. Consequently, baseball, a sport where you can stand still and just swing a bat, became the only game he could participate in. As a hitter, he can't run the bases, so every single hit must be a home run, as there is no other option. In his downtime, Ricky often sneaks over to the town bar with his brother and sister, peering through the window to watch baseball broadcasts on the TV inside. Those hitters on the screen are the brightest lights in his soul. Even though the owner chases them away every time, he never gives up on his dream of becoming a hitter. He often asks his father with great anticipation when exactly he will finally be able to take off the braces on his legs. His father's answer is always, no. The doctor is even more blunt, stating that Ricky's legs will never be able to walk like a normal person's for the rest of his life. The words of his father and the doctor are like buckets of ice water, repeatedly extinguishing the small flame in Ricky's heart. Robert stuffs the star player cards he saved up his own money to buy into Ricky's hands. As Ricky gazes at the batting stances on the cards, he finally breaks into a smile. But before he can smile for long, his father, James, walks in with a stern expression. He looks down on his son's baseball dream, not because he doesn't love him, but because he loves him too much. He knows the sport will only destroy Ricky's already fragile legs. He hopes Ricky will inherit his mantle and become a pastor.
Now, I've seen you out there behind the church swinging that stick, and you'd be out there all day long if you could, but you can't play baseball. You can't even run. And if you try, you're going to get ridiculed, you're going to get made fun of, and you're going to wind up with an injury that you'll never get over.
He knows all too well the hardships of survival and the malice in people's hearts, so he only wishes for his son to grow up safely. A baseball dream is an unaffordable luxury. In those days, a pastor's salary was incredibly low, making it difficult to support a large family. Yet, no matter how hard life got, James never cut corners in his work at the church. However, being dedicated didn't mean things went smoothly. He not only had to fulfill his duties as a pastor, but also had to maintain the sanctity and dignity of the church, a stubbornness that often led to conflicts with some congregants.
Odd mighty man collects $50 a month to preach to some decent hard-scrabble folk he's never even stepped off the pulpit to get to know. We hardly got a pleasure in life. I expect the Almighty can see his way around our frailties.
Facing those who offended the church, James showed no mercy and would kick them out directly. His persistence offended many people. On another Sunday, the whole family was barred from entering the church. The congregants, who had long since grown tired of him, banded together to oust him from his position as pastor.
We just kicked you out. Now be quick. We need that house back.
Their already precarious home was now in even deeper trouble. Without a job, even the house provided by the church was to be taken back, forcing the family to pack their bags and drive away. To make matters worse, the car broke down halfway through the journey. James got out of the car and looked at the desolate highway, his heart turning cold. He knelt on the ground and prayed to God in desperation. As soon as he finished speaking, a tire blew out. James completely snapped, kicking the car door violently to vent the frustrations he had bottled up for half his life. The family was woken up and got out of the car to comfort him. But before they could finish, a crack of thunder echoed from the horizon, signaling a coming storm. James's mood hit rock bottom at that moment. The family just stood by the broken car, laughing together in a moment of bitter joy. But just as they found a bit of respite, the torrential rain began to pour. Everyone scrambled to get into the car, but the driver's side door was stuck and wouldn't open. James only managed to squeeze inside after he was completely soaked. The car was trapped in the storm, unable to move forward or back. Perhaps the heavens had finally had enough of tormenting them as a passing car stopped. A kind elderly woman heard their story and immediately took them back to her home to rest. After some conversation, the elderly couple learned of the family's dire situation, and the husband didn't hesitate to introduce Ricky's father to a new job as a pastor. The only downside was that the environment there wasn't great. James agreed without a second thought, as they were in no position to be picky. The next day, the family hit the road. After a long journey, they finally arrived at that remote little town. Even though they were mentally prepared, they couldn't help but feel a shock when they saw the dilapidated house before them. However, they finally had a home and wouldn't have to sleep on the streets anymore. A new town and a new environment also held new possibilities. Ricky and his brother were walking down the street when they saw a group of kids playing baseball in an open lot from a distance. The brothers stepped forward and cautiously asked if they could join in. The tall pitcher leading the group sized Ricky up, his gaze landing on the leg braces, a mocking smirk surfacing on his face. He refused them flatly with a tone full of contempt. Ricky doesn't back down. He stops his brother who wants to pull him away and looks up to speak.
I hit off you, we both play.
Seeing that Ricky was so persistent, the pitcher was more than happy to watch him make a fool of himself in public. And so, the bet was set. Ricky gripped the bat tightly, focusing intently on his opponent. The first ball flew in and he missed. The second ball was faster, and he swung at air, falling heavily to the ground. Laughter from the surrounding kids rushed in like a tide. If he missed the third ball, he would be struck out. Robert distressedly urged him to give up, but Ricky refused to accept defeat. He looks down at the leg braces that have bound his entire childhood, then suddenly raises his bat and smashes it down with all his might. His suicidal level of determination stunned everyone. Perhaps the pain numbed his senses, but Ricky suddenly felt the constraints on his legs truly loosen. When the third ball flew in, he swung with everything he had, and the baseball carved a perfect arc in the air, landing precisely outside the field. It was a perfect home run, but the pitcher cheated and said the hit didn't count. Robert wanted to go and argue, but the pitcher grabbed him by the collar, luckily being pulled away by his teammate. Since they were so unwelcome, the brothers had no choice but to leave. When they got home, dinner was already on the table, and everyone had smiles on their faces. James had just walked in and hadn't realized what had happened when he saw Ricky slowly stand up from his chair. No braces, no support. James was stunned. The braces that never left his son's legs were gone, and he could actually stand on his own. He pulled Ricky into his arms, too emotional to speak. That night, he made the unprecedented decision to take the whole family out for a nice meal. As the days pass by, news of the town forming a baseball team begins to spread. Ricky wants to sign up, but the coach requires a parent's signature on the agreement form. On the training field, while the other kids swarm the coach for their forms, Ricky stands outside the crowd and lowers his head, knowing his father will never agree. But with his brother's encouragement, he bites the bullet and asks for a copy of the agreement anyway. That evening, Ricky summons the courage to present it to his father, and as expected, his father refuses without even looking, fearing the sport will cause irreparable damage to his son's legs. From then on, Ricky can only lean against the fence every day, staring through the wire mesh and enviously watching the others train. A new friend gives Ricky an idea, suggesting the coach seems so absent-minded that he probably won't even check the signatures. Robert also believes that Ricky is the one who needs this opportunity the most. So, Robert mimics their father's handwriting and signs the agreement for him. But the coach isn't as muddled as they thought, and he shows up at their door that very night. Even though the truth is exposed, the coach looks James in the eye and speaks some words he has held in for a long time.
Anywho, he is one heck of a hitter. The only way I can figure how your boy can possibly hit the ball as far and as hard as he can, the Lord will give him a gift.
Well, he's not going to be playing.
The coach stands at the door trying his hardest to persuade him, but no matter what he says, James refuses to budge. The coach shakes his head helplessly and turns to leave. James calls Ricky out from behind the door, but just as he is about to blow up, Robert steps forward and takes all the responsibility. Ricky also finally finds the courage to shout out the words in his heart to his father.
When I swing that bat, I ain't crippled no more. I am David taking down Goliath. Everybody can see how much this means to me but you, Daddy.
Don't you backtalk me, boy.
Yet, even in the face of his son's heartfelt plea, James still does not give in. To teach them the price of lying, he takes Robert outside and unbuckles his belt, preparing to discipline him. However, his raised hand hangs in midair and hesitates to fall.
Go inside.
This seemingly domineering father is actually changing slowly. When facing people smoking in the church, he no longer chases them out as he did before, acting as if he didn't see it at all. The day after that incident, Ricky speaks up again while his father is free. He tells his father firmly that baseball is his life, but he will also be a good pastor. He pulls out a piece of paper with a diagram of a baseball field's positions on it. He connects the 4 bases, forming a cross. Ricky explains to his father that even on the field, he can be a messenger of God, which is no different from standing in a church. Afterward, he leaves the paper in his father's hands. Watching his sons retreating back, James's hardened heart finally begins to soften. Time flies and Ricky eventually stands on the baseball field. Before every hit, he uses his bat to draw a cross at his feet. Years of persistence have made him the brightest star on the field. No matter what kind of ball the opponent throws, he always manages to hit it steadily. Ray, the car owner who once promised to watch him play, has actually become his coach. To help Ricky go further, Ray helps him contact a professional scout. This time, Ricky must go all out. But fate loves to play tricks on people. Standing opposite him is the boy who mocked him when they were kids. Their eyes meet, and the pitcher talks tough, saying he'll make Ricky look like a fool in front of everyone. Ricky doesn't dare be careless and stays fully focused. He misses the first ball, allowing the opponent to score, but he quickly adjusts. When the second fastball comes, he swings with precision for a perfect home run. The crowd goes wild, and even the scout on the sideline stands up. But just as everything is heading in the best direction, an accident happens. Ricky trips over a sprinkler used for field maintenance while catching a ball. He catches the ball, but the price is a severe ankle fracture. He is rushed to the hospital, but the doctor's words are more fatal than the fracture itself.
They're torn to bits. They can't connect your ankle to your calf bone. And these 2 peroneal tendons, they're not torn. They're completely severed.
How much?
7,000, probably more. And then there's the other condition.
Other condition?
Advanced degenerative spinal disease, causing your spine to age prematurely. Your son has the spine of a 60-year-old man, and there's nothing I can do to reverse that.
The $7,000 surgery fee is an astronomical figure for this family. To raise the money, the brothers work odd jobs everywhere, doing whatever work they can find. The townspeople hear about Ricky's situation and step up to help, donating bit by bit. Even so, they are still far from reaching the amount needed for the surgery. The family sits together, frowning in despair. Just then, Ray comes over with a newspaper. The paper headline announces that the Major League tryouts will be held in this town in a few months. For Ricky, this is the only chance. Ray decides on the spot to sell his farm to help Ricky. But James stops Ray, as he is truly unwilling to let his son get hurt again because of baseball, and the years of accumulated fear make him prefer to give up this chance. In that tense moment, the grandmother stands up. She doesn't say much, but she makes the decision for Ricky and accepts the loan. The surgery goes smoothly, but the doctor's words are like a bucket of cold water. The recovery period will take at least 6 months, which means Ricky will miss the major league tryouts. Ricky's world goes dark instantly, but he doesn't stay down. With his leg still in a cast, he goes to the field on crutches. He swings and swings again, over and over. Sweat hits the ground, kicking up dust as he works hard not just for his own dream, but also to repay everyone who reached out to him. But before fate can let go, another tragedy strikes. His grandmother is unalived. Before her departure, she holds Ricky's hand and tells him never to give up, saying she will be watching him from heaven. Ricky cries until he can't speak. Her words plant a seed in his heart. To avoid failing her, he makes a crazy decision. He raises his bat, aims it at the cast on his leg, and smashes it down hard. Fragments fly everywhere, revealing the still swollen leg underneath. Only this way can he chase the dream that is about to slip away. James rushes over to stop Ricky, but his wife holds him back. In the following days, with his brother's help, Ricky begins a frantic rehabilitation training. Every swing he takes carries the heavy weight of his dreams, and every step he takes is a silent declaration of war against fate. The child once told by doctors that he would never walk normally is now writing his own legend. Right at this time, Ray brings good news. The most famous scout in America will be at next week's tryouts. On the eve of the game, Ricky sits in his father's church, his heart feeling tightly squeezed. He doesn't want to disobey his father, he just wants to make him proud in his own way for once. But that thought has been suppressed for so long that he has almost forgotten what it feels like to be validated by his father. James remains silent, and no one knows what is on his mind. His love for his son is much deeper than Ricky imagines. In the dead of night, he picks up his son's baseball glove and writes words of blessing on the inside. Before going to sleep, he is still holding a book about leg injury recovery. Ricky sees that scene, and a warmth he has never felt before surges in his heart. The next day, the tryouts arrive as scheduled, with baseball talents from every state gathering here, and only a few out of the 200 top players can stay. It is a brutal elimination round where every player's move is noted by the scouts. Ricky doesn't dare slack off, putting all his strength into every swing and enduring the sharp pain in his leg during every run. But he is still called to a stop. A scout looks at Ricky's leg and shakes his head, stating that even if he possesses elite hitting skills, that crippled leg is a fatal flaw, and no team would ever sign a contract with a player like him.
If you give me my last at-bat, and I don't moonshot every pitch, I'll cut myself.
The scout stares at him for a few seconds and decides to give him a chance. Next is Ricky's personal performance. Just as he promised, he hits every single ball precisely, sending them out of the park and even into the adjacent field. The major league coach on the next field initially thinks his own players are hitting them, but as more and more balls fly over, he finally realizes something is wrong. He has his assistant call the boy over. Murph admires Ricky's talent, but the expression on his face changes as soon as he hears about the leg injury. He says bluntly that Ricky doesn't belong on this field. But perhaps it is the fire burning in Ricky's eyes that moves him, so he gives Ricky one last chance. There is an exhibition game tomorrow, and if he can hold his own against the ace pitcher, he will reconsider him.
I won't embarrass you. You got my word.
Ricky cherishes this opportunity more than his own life. The stadium is packed with people, and as Ricky stands in the center, he is filled with an indescribable sense of awe. At that moment, he feels as though he is already standing on a major league field. The exhibition game begins. As the protagonist, he needs to face challenges from both teams. He is too nervous and messes up the first ball. He fails to hit the second ball as well. The stadium falls silent, and all eyes are on him. For the third ball, he adjusts his breathing, swings, and hits it. From then on, Ricky gets into the groove, hitting every ball accurately no matter how the coach swaps players. But just as he is hitting his stride, Murph suddenly increases the difficulty by sending out a top major league star pitcher. Everyone thinks this is completely unfair to Ricky. He misses the first ball, and he misses the second ball too. When the third ball flies in, he grinds his teeth and swings with all his might, and the ball flies out. But the ball lands right in the pitcher's hand, meaning Ricky has to keep hitting. This also enrages the pitcher. The infuriated pitcher throws the next ball directly at Ricky. The ball hits Ricky's ribs hard, and he collapses instantly, curling up in pain. The stadium is dead quiet, as everyone assumes he won't get back up. But after a long time, the figure begins to move. He props himself up on the ground, straightens his back bit by bit, and stands back in the batter's box. He doesn't know if this counts as a miracle. He only knows he worked so hard to get here, and no matter how strong the opponent is, he will swing his most brilliant hit.
You do that again, you're done.
This battle's going to continue. Hill could have taken his base, but he's standing at home plate, staring the bully in the face. Hammer on the mound with an 0-2 pitch ready to be delivered. Here it comes. Swung on. Hill smokes this ball to left center. This ball is far, and it is gone over the wall. Can you believe it? In the 11th at bat, after getting hit, Hill has hit a home run.
That most magnificent scene happens to be seen by James, who has rushed there. He stands at the back of the crowd, watching the son who once wore leg braces now standing in the center of everyone's cheers. At that moment, the obstacle in his heart finally shatters. He knows clearly that from now on, he will be proud to have such a son. This is a true story. Later, Ricky Hill successfully signed with the Montreal Expos, realizing the dream that once seemed so out of reach. He married the girl who promised to be his girlfriend when they were little. He played 4 brilliant seasons on the field until his spine completely gave out, and only then did he take off his uniform and move behind the scenes to become a coach. He has taught countless students, and the boy who once hit stones with a wooden stick eventually used his entire life to tell everyone, fate can trap a person's legs, but it cannot trap the swing he unleashes.